Today, we're talking about something called an income engine. It's a strategy, really, a way to build a more stable financial future, especially when you're thinking about retirement. So, let's get into it.
There's been a real shift in how people are feeling about their money lately. Just look at this number. A staggering 77% of Americans say the past year has made them way less interested in taking big financial risks. People are looking for safety. And it's not just some vague nervousness. When you ask people specifically about retirement, 2/3, that's 2 out of every 3 people, are worried about having enough income. So it's pretty clear that what people want right now is stability and, a little predictability.
Which brings us to a really important question, right? If the goal isn't just about chasing the biggest possible returns anymore, what's the new game plan? How do you actually build a portfolio that's designed for stability from the ground up?
Well, the answer might just be this idea of an income engine. You can think of it as your own personal cash flow machine. Let's pop the hood and see how it works.
So at its heart, an income engine is just a collection of investments put together for one main reason: to spin off a steady, predictable stream of cash. It's really less like a high-speed race car built for pure acceleration, and a lot more like a heavy-duty generator designed to just keep humming along, providing consistent power.
And you can really see the difference in philosophy on this slide. A typical growth portfolio is all about that upside, right? You buy something, hope it appreciates, and then sell it for a profit. But an income engine? It's focused on generating cash from things like interest and dividends, so you don't actually have to sell your main investments to get paid.
Now, to run this engine well, you have to know how to read the dashboard. So let's look at the 3 main gauges you need to keep an eye on: income, yield, and return.
First up, we've got income. This one's the most straightforward. It's the actual, real cash your investments are putting in your pocket. Think of the interest payment you get from a bond or a dividend check from a stock. It's the tangible output of your engine.
Next is yield. This gauge tells you how efficient your investment is. It's the income you get, but shown as a percentage of the investment's price. So if you have a $1,000 bond and it pays you $50 a year, that's a 5% yield. It's a really useful way to compare different investments.
And finally, the third gauge is return. This one is the big picture, the whole shebang. It includes both the income you got plus any change in the investment's price. So if your $100 stock went up to $107 and it paid you a $3 dividend, your total return is actually 10%.
And this is so important. Don't just stare at the yield gauge. As financial expert Andrew Yuzimov points out, a really high yield can sometimes be a red flag. It could just mean the investment's price is dropping, which would obviously hurt your total return. You got to look at all 3 gauges together.
Okay, so let's get into the nuts and bolts. What are the actual parts you'd use to build one of these income engines?
Well, you've got a lot of options. There are the classics like bonds, which are basically just loans you make that pay you interest. And bond funds make it easy to own a bunch of different ones. Then you have things like CDs, which offer guaranteed interest. Annuities can give you an income stream for life. And you even have things like REITs, that's real estate investment trusts, which let you invest in properties and collect your share of the rent as dividends.
Of course, just like any piece of machinery, an income engine isn't without its risks. No investment is ever 100% safe, so you absolutely have to know what safety checks to run. Think of these as the 4 main warning lights on your dashboard. You've got credit risk, the chance the company or government just stops paying you. Then there's inflation risk, which means your income might not buy as much next year as it does today. Liquidity risk is when you need your cash back, but you can't sell the investment quickly. And finally, interest rate risk. If rates in the market go up, the value of your older, lower-rate bonds goes down.
But here's the good news. You can manage these risks. It's not about driving blind. As expert Brady Lockday says, it's all about smart strategies. Things like diversifying, keeping some cash on hand, and making sure your investments line up with when you'll actually need the money.
So after looking at how it works and what the risks are, we get to the most important question of all. Who should actually be driving this thing? Is this engine right for you? And this quote from Dan Piscone really nails the core takeaway. The income engine is a fantastic tool for people who are getting close to retirement or are already there. That's the time when predictable cash flow becomes way more important than just shooting for the moon. But for younger folks, people still in that wealth-building phase, a growth-focused engine is usually a better fit. And that really leaves us with one final thing for you to think about. When you look at your own finances and your own goals, you have to ask yourself, what is my engine built for? Do I need predictable, steady power to live on, or am I still in the race for pure, long-term speed? The answer to that question changes everything.